My name is Natalie Reyes. I'm 33, and tonight, I'm the bride everyone is watching. Except no one knows they're watching a trap unfold in real time. Outside the ballroom windows, Charleston's river glistens under lantern light. Inside, the chandeliers above shimmer like cracked ice. Everything looks perfect. That's the problem. I grew up in a family that weaponized perfection. My brother, Damien, learned early how to use it. He didn't build his reputation, he curated it. 1 Harvard degree, 2 fund embezzlement accusations covered up by our father, and a smile that could make blood look like wine. Damien always won. Until tonight. To a future we can't escape. Someone toasts from table 6. Glasses clink. My phone buzzes in my hand. Screen up. 1 name. Sloan. Don't drink it. Switch glasses. He did it. My fingers lock. The world doesn't slow. It sharpens. Across the head table, Damien raises his flute. He looks directly at me. He smiles. We haven't spoken in 3 years. Not since he tried to make me the fall girl for Reyes Financial's missing $6.2 million. Come on, Nat, he calls out. 1 sip for old times. His voice is coated in charm. My skin prickles. Champagne sparkles under the chandelier light, golden and cold. My glass is already in my hand. There's a quote my mother used to whisper through her teeth whenever things got messy at home. We don't air our blood in public. Tonight, we'll make an exception. I shift in my seat, subtly. Damien leans closer, waiting. Cut. Music swells behind us, live strings. The room buzzes with light laughter. A distraction. I reach for a linen napkin, my other hand sliding the base of my flute toward his. My body blocks the view. Slide. Rotate. Switch. When I look up, Damien's attention is on Elias, my husband, who's whispering something to a guest. Damien doesn't check the glasses. He never second-guesses himself. And that's how he loses. The first sip is his. Confident. Cold. It slides down easy. He taps the mic. Everyone, he says. Let's raise a toast. Cameras point up. The lighting shifts, warm spotlight. My pulse kicks. I raise my new glass. 1 inch from my lips. I don't blink. Cheers, he says. He downs the rest. The pause is almost nothing. Then, a cough. Sharp. Wrong. Damien's face freezes. His eyes widen. His hand lifts, but it trembles. Another cough. He stumbles backward into the mic stand. Glass shatters at his feet. He's choking. Someone screams. A server drops a tray. Flashbulbs go off like gunfire. My husband moves first, rushing to his side. But I stay seated, still, watching. Blood rushes in my ears like sirens. Not panic. Something colder. My glass sits untouched. You okay? Someone asks me. I smile. I didn't poison him, I say. But I know exactly who did. Damien's body hit the floor like a dropped chandelier. Screams split the room. A champagne flute shattered near my feet. Elias shouted something, too sharp to understand, then vanished into the crowd of tuxedos and chiffon, lunging toward my brother. I didn't move. Couldn't. Wouldn't. Every camera in the room was still rolling. Someone call 911. A voice cut through the chaos. The string quartet had stopped. All that was left was the distant murmur of the river outside and Damien's gasping breath as he writhed on the parquet floor. People think moments like this feel like slow motion. They don't. They're sharp, brutal, overexposed, like a flash too close to your eyes. I stood still, frozen in silk and scrutiny. A server bumped my arm. Ma'am, are you all right? I blinked, nodded. Someone else was filming. I guess maybe 2. I saw their phones rise through the crowd like periscopes. Damien convulsed once more, then stopped. Cut. Emergency lights flared red across the Spanish moss outside the ballroom. I stood by the windows, eyes dry, stomach still. 2 paramedics loaded Damien onto a stretcher. One of them paused. He's stable. Breathing's shallow, but consistent. Was he drugged? I asked, voice low. The medic glanced at the police officer beside him. Ma'am, the ER will handle toxicology. The officer took a step toward me. Uniform starched, badge glinting. Mrs. Vaughn. I turned, smiled like I was born into it. Yes. I need to ask you a few questions. Interrogation room. Cold light. Stainless steel. Not like the movies, no two-way mirror. Just gray walls and a sense that someone had been here before. Left pieces of themselves behind. The investigator was older. Southern drawl softened his tone, but not his eyes. You were seated next to Mr. Reyes during the toast. Yes. Did you see anyone tamper with his glass? I paused. Just enough. No. Lie. Clean. Controlled. He leaned forward. Multiple guests say you didn't drink your champagne. Another pause. I was nervous. Brides don't always drink. He scribbled something. Did you have a reason to harm your brother, Mrs. Vaughn? I had a reason to avoid him. I met his stare. No flinch. Innocent people look up when they lie, he said. Guilty people don't blink. I blinked. Once. Deliberately. Cut scene. Sloane was waiting when they let me go. Her heels echoed across the hospital corridor. Her black coat snapped with every step. She didn't hug me, just walked beside me down the hallway like a lawyer next to her client. They're going to spin this, she said. He's not dead, which means the story won't be about what he did. It'll be about how you made him collapse on your wedding night. I switched the glasses. You saw it. Only I did. A nurse wheeled past us with an 4-bag. The hallway reeked of antiseptic and adrenaline. Sloane's voice dropped. Video feeds? Locked, I said. The security manager said someone reset access this morning. She stopped walking. Who? I didn't answer. She already knew. Back at the hotel suite, my dress was still crumpled across the chair. Champagne stains on the hem. Elias was in the bedroom. Shower running. Too long. I paced the room once. Picked up my phone. No new messages. No media leaks yet. But it would come. In families like mine, scandal wasn't managed. It was monetized. My thumb hovered over my contact list. Then I called Talia Moreno, the event staffer, the one who'd seen something. She picked up on the second ring. I shouldn't be talking to you, she whispered. Talia, did you see what Damien did before the toast? Silence. Then he handed something off. To who? A beat. Your husband. I didn't sleep. Elias came out of the shower, towel around his waist, eyes calm. Too calm. You okay? He asked, drying his hair. I stared at him. Why did Damien give you something before the toast? He froze, just for a second. What are you talking about? Talia saw it. He laughed. Not a real one. Natalie, your brother just overdosed at our wedding. Maybe you should rest before accusing everyone. Someone accessed the video system before the ceremony. That wasn't me. His voice was flat, practiced, almost bored. He tried to destroy me, Elias. And somehow you're still here. He smiled, then walked past me, leaving water tracks across the hardwood. The next morning, a link appeared in my encrypted inbox. No sender, no subject line, just a file name. Reyes_4K_uncut. I clicked. The footage loaded. Damien. My wedding. The ballroom. A silver capsule. His hand. He leaned in. Whispered something. The camera caught it. Don't let her see the file. You know what to do. He turned away and handed the capsule to Elias. My hands went cold. He didn't plan to poison me. He planned to frame me. Charleston's morning fog clung to the glass like breath on a mirror. I sat on the edge of the hotel bed, robe damp against my skin, the encrypted video still playing in loops on my laptop. There was no audio enhancement needed. The words were clear. Damien handed Elias the capsule. Then, you know what to do. He did it. He knew I'd drink the toast. Or thought I would. The plan was airtight, until it wasn't. And if I hadn't switched those glasses, I'd be lying in a hospital bed or a coffin, not sitting here piecing together the blueprint of a setup. My phone buzzed. Sloan, we have a bigger problem. AMC is involved. AMC, Ashton Monroe Chambers. Not a news outlet. Not a brand. A legal syndicate known for burying elite scandals before breakfast. She sent another message. Sloan, meet me. Roof. 5 minutes. Cut. The wind whipped harder than expected. Sloan stood near the edge of the rooftop garden. Coat cinched, hair pulled into a razor-sharp bun. She held a manila folder. No names, she said. Elias. I guessed anyway. Harper Sinclair. My stomach twisted. She's pulling strings behind AMC? I asked. Sloan nodded, eyes on the city skyline. They don't just want to ruin you, Nat. They want to dissolve everything your parents left behind. She handed me the folder. Inside, a sealed letterhead transfer dated last week. An irrevocable family trust amendment pending emergency ratification, citing concerns over Natalie Reyes Vaughn's psychological stability and fiduciary responsibility. Harper's signature. So was Elias's. So I marry him and then I'm conveniently unfit, I muttered. Sloan tilted her head. Fits the narrative, doesn't it? Cut. Midday. The ballroom, now empty, was being stripped clean. Centerpieces gone, chandeliers dimmed. Only silence remained. Talia met me by the bar. She handed over a thumb drive. Someone deleted the backup from our servers, she whispered. I made a mirror copy. Don't tell anyone I helped you. You could lose your job. She smiled bitterly. Better that than my conscience. Then she leaned in. There was someone else on that call. The man who coordinated it all wasn't Elias. He was just following. I froze. Who? Her lips parted. Before she could answer, the fire alarm screamed overhead. Strobes. Screams. People pushed out of the building. Someone pulled Talia away. Uniformed staff. I lost her in the chaos. I ran through smoke and static until I hit the alley. Sloan waited by the car, engine running. Get in. We didn't speak for the first few minutes. Just the hum of tires and adrenaline. I need to talk to Nolan, I finally said. Sloan's knuckles tightened on the wheel. Nolan's compromised. He's the trustee. My heart dropped. He's my godfather. And his name is on the amendment. I closed my eyes. You think betrayal breaks loud, but sometimes it's quiet, paper thin. Back at my parents' old carriage house. Dust covered every surface. No cameras, no Wi-Fi, just silence and history. I changed into jeans and a windbreaker. No designer labels. No attention. My engagement ring stayed in a drawer. Sloan paced as I spread out documents, wedding contracts, prenup clauses, financial filings. We need to hit back, she said. We will. I opened the thumb drive, loaded the footage. There. Frame 187. Damien. Elias. Anne. Wait, I whispered. A shadow moved across the screen. Tall. Sharp suit. Watching from the mezzanine. I zoomed. Enhanced. It was Harper. Holding a phone. Speaking into it. Not recording. Directing. He's just a tool. Get her declared unfit. I'll handle the rest. The sound quality cracked, but the tone was unmistakable. I stood. This wasn't about revenge, I said. This was a corporate coup. Sloan looked at me. Then we go public. No. I turned toward the window. The sunset cut gold over the bay. We go cinematic. The file was cued. The ballroom's AV tech adjusted the lighting one last time. The screen behind the stage glowed blue. Waiting. The crowd buzzed like static, uncertain, nervous. Some whispered. Some recorded. AMC's handler, a man in a steel-gray suit with the eyes of someone who didn't blink for sport, sat near the back, arms folded. Elias was 10 feet from me, jaw tense, whispering something to Nolan. They didn't know what I had. Or maybe they did, and that was the problem. People will only forgive a liar if the truth scares them more. Sloane murmured beside me. You sure they're ready to be afraid? I'm counting on it. Cut scene. The first frame rolled. Damien. Elias. The capsule. Harper in the background directing. And then audio. The words were shaky but real. A voiceover captioned in real time. She'll drink it. That's the plan. We make it look like a suicide attempt. Emotional bride. Financial pressure. Blame the prenup. Frame the breakdown. Gasps rippled like a wave through the crowd. A man in the front row stood, then sat. Someone cursed under their breath. I watched Nolan go pale. Harper froze. Elias looked at me. Just me. What do you want? He'd asked once when we fought over the prenup. Power, I'd said. You're not built for war, Natalie. You're about to find out. The video ended. Silence. Then, laughter. From the back of the room. Harper stood, slow and deliberate. Well, she said, that was dramatic. Security started to move. AMC's man gave a sharp nod. Elias lunged toward me. Nolan reached into his coat. Too late. Sloane snapped a flash drive from her clutch and handed it to the Charleston PD officer standing by the buffet. Everything's backed up. Time-stamped. Certified. The officer looked at me. You pressing charges? I didn't hesitate. Yes. Cut. The courthouse. 36 hours later. Paparazzi outside. The smell of old wood and cold stone inside. Elias's lawyer tried to plead diminished capacity. Nolan's lawyer blamed medication interactions. Harper never showed. She was already on a private jet, allegedly. But the trust amendment? Nullified. The financial freeze? Lifted. AMC's lawyer sent a cease and desist with thinly veiled threats. But they knew. They'd been exposed. And in this game, exposure was the only poison they feared. The morning after the arraignment, I stood in my father's study, a room full of memories I hated. Mahogany shelves, a cracked decanter, a portrait of my parents in fake warmth. I opened the safe hidden behind the fireplace panel. The passcode, the date Damien got caught hiding the offshore accounts. He always thought I forgot. Inside was a folder labeled Reyes Property Transfers. Buried in legal dust and layers of shell companies was a single clause. If Natalie Reyes proved willful fraud within the family before the age of 35, the estate and all subsidiary rights reverted to her. No amendment could override it. I smiled. My father didn't believe in love. He believed in leverage. That night, I returned to the ballroom. Empty again. Quiet. I played one more video. Not for the world. For myself. It was from a security angle no one else had access to. Sloane had found it, buried deep in AMC's offsite cache. The camera caught Elias whispering to Damien 2 hours before the toast. But it wasn't about me. It was about her. Elias said a name I hadn't heard in years. She doesn't remember what happened in Asheville. But if she starts digging, we're screwed. I hit pause. My blood went cold. Asheville. I hadn't been there since I was 17. Since the night someone crashed my car into the river, and I woke up alone on the bank, drenched, bruised, and missing a piece of time. There was something buried deeper than money, deeper than betrayal, and they knew I was about to find it. The gala was impossibly grand. Crystal chandeliers, silk gowns, the kind of place secrets go to die. I wasn't a guest. I wasn't welcome, but I had something they couldn't erase. Sloane drove us through the valet line. I watched the reflection of headlights on marble floors. My jaw tight, my gloves cold. The encrypted drive burned like a warning in my purse. Remember, Sloane said, voice low, truth isn't power until someone sees it. She said it like fact, like a command. We slipped past the coat check. Inside, the Sinclair Foundation Gala was already in motion. A string quartet played softly. People laughed. They didn't know the bomb about to drop. I pictured a line I like to repeat when the world feels too crooked. The loudest lies mask the quietest truths. Tonight, truth had a spotlight. I kept my eyes on the stage where Harper Sinclair was about to speak. Regal, untouchable, built like a queen in a marble palace. She flashed that practiced smile, the kind that never reaches the eyes. We ducked behind towering arrangements of white orchids and ferns. I leaned toward the service entrance to the AV control room. Talia was there, pale, alert. Her eyes flicked to the doors every few seconds. They're on to us, she whispered. Security cameras loop on a 10-minute delay. We need to work fast. I nodded. Play it right. Play it loud. That had been Sloane's only instruction. Talia slipped the encrypted drive into the console. The screen blinked. Black. Then a loading bar. Tick, tick, tick. We heard footsteps. Heavy. They came from the hallway. Someone wearing polished shoes. Someone important. Talia didn't flinch. The door cracked open. Harper. She smiled at us. Such late hours, she said. Her voice was sweet, colder than ice. A chandelier shard on your tongue. What are you doing back here? I didn't answer. Harper's eyes slid to the console. Then she saw it. The file name. Reyes _ 4K _ uncut. Her smile stayed the same, but her breath changed. That's when Talia hit the play button. The ballroom screen flickered across the building like a beacon. Silence. And then the footage. Damien. Elias. Harper. The capsule. The whisper. The transfer. The betrayal. People gasped in the grand room. Phone cameras popped up like wildfire. Faces turned. Mouths fell open. Harper's gaze dropped from the screen to me. Tiny cracks in her posture. A flicker. A flaw. Elias stood beside her. His face was carved stone. The video revealed his eyes sharp, calculating. And then the audio hit. We neutralize her. We claim the trust. No one questions the bride gone mad. A murmur grew, like static, fast. Security rushed in. Not to stop us. To record it. Everyone pulled out their phones. Bright lights. Rolling. The once perfect facade of the Sinclair name was now a digital blaze. Talia stepped back, sweating. You think this works? She asked. I stared at the screen. At Harper's pulled expression. At Elias's frozen jaw. It had to work. Then another feed cut in. A second perspective. Live. It was from a balcony cam no one knew existed. Sloane had found it during her server dig. The angle was too clear. Too intimate. This time, it wasn't just the poison plot. It was something deeper. A meeting. A signed document. Harper and Nolan reviewing the Trust Amendment Clause. The same one designed to strip me of everything if I was deemed unfit. But this footage showed something else. Something they never expected would surface. Nolan whispered to Harper, "We close the trust tonight. When the board sees the amended clause signed by both of you with Elias in position, it's irreversible." Harper nodded. Then she turned toward a safe behind a painting and pulled out an envelope. Red seal. My name. An irrevocable legal directive, set to execute tomorrow. It would have dismantled every asset my parents left behind before noon. The ballroom erupted. Shouts. Applause. Outrage. Phones shining like beacons. Security had stopped trying to remove us. They were too frozen, too stunned. Harper's face was pale porcelain, bloodless. Elias looked at her like he hadn't expected the betrayal to surface, like he hadn't planned for this. But he was wrong. The room was filling with news feeds now, reporters and guests broadcasting live, algorithms hungry for scandal. Harper raised her hand. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, voice steady but brittle. "This is an unfortunate misunderstanding." No one listened. The moment became bigger than her words. A voice from the crowd cut in. Someone in the front row. "Show it again." It wasn't a plea. It was a command. Security guards lowered their earpieces. Phones stopped shaking. Every eye locked to the screen. Harper swallowed. The digital crowd was louder than this room. And the truth was just getting started. "Play it again." The courtroom doors sealed behind me, like a trap, snapping shut. Elias and Damien were cuffed. Nolan had been subpoenaed the night before. Harper Sinclair? Gone. Fugitively elegant. Her seat, the one with her name engraved in gold, now empty. I stood in the vestibule, the muted hum of reporters just beyond the thick with a drum in my chest. Truth without witness is nothing but noise. That thought, something I once heard in passing, felt like a pulse. My lawyer, Sloane, didn't look at me. She never needed to. Her jaw was tense, eyes sharp. "They'll file mandatory reports by noon." "Securities, estate, trust oversight," she said, voice flat. I nodded. There was a tremor at the edge of my awareness. But I welcomed the quake. The judge's gavel was still warm in the memory, echoing like an ultimatum. Let there be transparency. Cut. Outside, the press pack throbbed like live wires. Cameras. Lights. Questions pitched sharp as shrapnel. I walked through them with measured steps, breath steady. "Ms. Reyes Vaughn," someone called. "Why do you think your brother betrayed you?" I paused, looked at the microphone extended like a blade. "The loudest betrayals always hide behind the softest words," I said, calm but cut through the static. A flurry of flashes. Another question. "Do you regret releasing that video?" My gaze went distant, just for a fraction of a second. "Regret is a luxury for people who betrayed no one," I replied. Cut. The sun dipped low over Charleston. Shadows stretched across the historic streets, like silent sentinels. A car pulled up outside the courthouse, a sleek black sedan, windows dark. Harper stepped out, composed. Not fleeing. Emerging. Her heels struck the pavement at a cursorily slow pace. Security tensed. Reporters surged. She didn't flinch. I walked toward her. No fear. Just clarity. Her lips curved, almost a smile. "You disprove their narrative," she said, voice frosted with calm. "But the closet protected you by accident, not design." I lifted my brow. "Go on." She exhaled slow. Calculated. "Elias thought proclaiming your instability would trigger the contingency clause in the trust." She tapped her wrist, where her watch glittered cold. "But I never signed that declaration. I never had to. Nolan did it for me." Silence. My heartbeat found a rhythm that didn't feel like panic. Something deeper. Recognition. "He crossed lines you never even drew," she continued, voice almost pleasant. "You survived because you're cleaner than they believed." Her words felt like a blade with a velvet grip. I didn't blink. "I survived because I fought," I said low. "Not because you taught me how to." Harper's eyes flicked, just once. She turned, walked away, like an ending you don't applaud, but remember. Cut. Twilight crawled across the city as the last of the legal filings closed one by one. Trust oversight committees, securities compliance regulators, mandatory forensic audits. Everything checked. Everything verified. My name was cleared. Permanently. But there was one file left. A sealed envelope from my godfather's old estate attorney, discovered after Nolan's cooperation with federal investigators. I opened it in the quiet of my living room. The envelope contained a single page. An admission. Not just about Asheville. Not only about the night my car crashed into the river and I woke bruised, numb, and with no memory of how I got there, but about the pattern. Nolan had engineered the Asheville accident. The same motive control. He needed influence over my guardianship before my parents died. He didn't get it. That night I lived. This time the truth lived too. I stared at the words, cold ink on white. She survived twice. That means she was meant to uncover everything. Cut. Sloane visited the next morning. No law books. No briefcases. Just coffee. And an expression that said, without saying, "We rebuilt you from a broken narrative." We didn't speak. Just sat. Outside, the dawn fractured into gold and rose over Charleston's riverfront. I watched light ripple in steady waves, constant, predictable, unstoppable, like truth. Later, I walked through the same old carriage house where I'd found forbidden files. Now it felt less like a mausoleum, more like a threshold, a place where legacies had tried to cage me, but failed. I looked at the cracked decanter on the shelf, the portrait of my parents with their two perfect smiles, and the safe now empty of secrets and full of closure. Cut. The final act came quietly. No headlines, no spectacle. Just letters arrived in certified mail. Federal indictment against Nolan. SEC investigation into AMC. Class action, suits filed by shareholders. Bank transfer orders reinstated in my name. My trust fully restored with oversight locked. All verified. All legal. All mine. At dusk, I stood by the shoreline. Water lapping like quiet applause. A breeze brushed the nape of my neck. I exhaled. There was a phrase I used to tell myself during nightmares, long before I understood betrayal. The truth will out, even if you have to scream it at the edge of a cliff. I whispered it now, eyes closed, letting the wind carry it. Truth had been my weapon. Truth had been my burden. And at last, truth was my freedom. A distant horn blew from a passing ship. The world moved on, and so did I. I took a step forward, not into vengeance, not into legacy, but into something new, something unclaimed, my own story unbroken.